Most of you will be aware that business incubation is nothing but a process that has been focused to support the development of the innovative ideas, take them to the next level, and make it a successful one. So if you look at what an incubation center does, it is just identify an early stage enterprise, extend all possible support in developing from the ideation stage to the growth stage. It's as simple as that. And so if you look at the business incubation, there are three factors that is involved. One, the wider business incubation environment, the environment within which your business incubation is being there. Second one is the business incubation, the process. Third one is the business incubator, right? So I'm stressing it again. Any incubation center or any institute should look at three things. One, the wider business incubation environment. The second one is the incubation process, and the third one is the business incubator, right? So what is meant by business incubation environment? It is nothing but a context which will be conducive to the sustainable development of enterprises and nurturing their growth. It is an environment within which your incubation center is going to operate. It is the environment that is prevailing in your region where your incubation center has been located, right? And what is incubation? It's nothing but a public or private or public and private partnership initiative, and which the initiative itself should be entrepreneurial, should focus on economic and social development processes. And what for this economic and social development processes is to nurture business from idea generation to startup companies through a comprehensive business support program, help them establish and accelerate their growth and success. Again, I repeat, either it can be a public initiative or private initiative or a public-private initiative. Most of us is like a public-private initiative. And it's an entrepreneurial activity where the economic and social development is the focus, which nurtures business from idea generation to startup companies. And how you will nurture it? Through a comprehensive business support program, right? So if you look at, there are three important points here. One, it is an entrepreneurial initiative, right? Incubation center itself, it's entrepreneurship oriented. It's an entrepreneurial activity. And it focuses on nurturing business from idea generation to startup through a comprehensive business support program. And what is a business incubator? It is nothing but a physical space or facility that accommodates a business incubation process. So if you are running a business incubation center, have a look at it. If you say that I have an established business incubator, it is nothing but a physical space. So most of you would have got a grant from the government, either it can be state government or central government, to establish the incubator. That means that you are just establishing a physical space or facility. But you have to bring life to the incubation center. It's like a physical space. How will you bring life to the business incubator, right? You should focus on business incubation, right? So you should have a comprehensive business support program. Incubation center should have a process. The process should have a program that will support the business. What kind of program? Which will ensure that the company will be handholded or nurtured from idea generation to start, right? And ensure that it becomes a successful startup, right? And within which environment it is working? It is working with the incubation environment or a regional environment where every environment will be different. The business environment in Coimbatore will be different from Ahmedabad, and business environment in Ahmedabad will be different from Surat or any other district or location in Gujarat, right? So in the nutshell, your incubation process should be designed based on the environment within which you are operating. So, as I told you, the first process that has been involved in business incubation or establishing the business incubation center is nothing but you are creating an infrastructure. You are creating a physical space. You are creating a space with the equipment and other facilities. So you have to take care of few important points while you are creating a space. Any incubation center, right, they'll be started with 5,000 square feet or 10,000 square feet. It differs from agency to agency, which supports you with the funding, right? But please note that a space that has been created, right, there should be a proportionate between revenue versus non-revenue generating infrastructure. Means if you are given a space of 10,000 square feet of space, how much of the space has been spent for non-revenue generating activities? Means how many meeting halls you have, how many seminar halls that you have, or how many common facilities, what is the percentage of common business support facilities that's going into it, whereas what is the percentage of space that has been allocated for your incubators, for the facilities, labs, equipments, testing facilities, etc. Right? So, more important is classify your space into revenue generating and non-revenue generating. Why I'm saying this is, you will get the funding support from government or any agencies for first 5 years. Then people will look at sustainability of the incubation center, which is one of the challenging thing that we have in the incubation environment. And so any incubation center should focus on sustaining the incubation center right from the day one. Right, having a plan after 5 years will be a challenge. So plan from the day one. Second thing is, while you are planning your activities or your infrastructure, create an infrastructure which can sizes with different sizes, which can fit all. It can start from the smaller size, right? It's called as one-seater, or it is called as hot desking, right? To maximum number of people that you can accommodate, whether you can accommodate 10 people or 15 people, means that you have to have the flexibility in the space, allocation of space to the incubators. It can be from single seater to whatever is possible, but any company startup that comes in should be in a position to scale up or scale down. Either it should have an option of scaling up from 5-member team to a 10-member team. Now, suddenly, because of some situations, if they want to reduce their team size, scale down, you should have that opportunity. Ready-made versus tailor-made services. Any incubation center, if you look at, all the incubation centers will say that we provide infrastructure, we provide labs, testing facilities, networking, mentoring, funding support, and things like that. Some of the services can be ready-made, but an incubation center, if it has to be successful, most of the services should be tailor-made, right? The expectations of the company or the expectations of the startup will differ from one startup to another startup. So you should be in a position to accommodate certain specific services. You should tailor-made your services based on the requirement of the startups. This means that the incubation center and the team of the incubation center should have an open-minded, where whenever there is an opportunity to extend a new set of services, we'll be in a position to do it. The fourth important thing in the infrastructure is occupancy versus utilization, right? Whether our space is occupied or whether our space is utilized, right? So 100% occupancy doesn't mean that it has been utilized 100%, right? Some of them would have taken an incubation space, but would have been operating from on-site. So occupancy is there, but utilization is less. So you focus on not having the occupancy level, first you achieve the occupancy level. Parallelly, you look at how the utilization level can be increased. So the second important thing is once you have the infrastructure in place, the second important challenges that you have is creating pipelines from where you can have the clients for you, right? What are the sources from where you can have the clients or the incubators for you? For any incubation center, the students can be your client or your incubator, researchers are there, individual innovators, startups, and some cases even an MSME, which has a new product development, can become your client. So an incubation center should try to work with all these target groups, right? From students to researchers to innovators to startups to industry. The team at incubation center should be in a position to understand the stage of product lifecycle. PLC is here I've mentioned as product lifecycle or the project lifecycle. You should have the stage at which the client is coming to you. The stage at which the client is coming to you might be at an ideation stage or a proof of concept stage or a prototype stage, or somebody would have got the product in hand and needs the incubation center to take it to the next level, right? So a client will not come at a one particular stage, right? You will have clients, different clients who approaches you at different stages of product lifecycle, right? So the team should be in a position equipped such a way that they understands the needs and expectations of each client. Because if an individual comes to us at an ideation stage, his needs and expectations will be different from an incubation center. If a client comes to us at the proof of concept stage, his needs and expectations are different from an incubation center. If he comes similarly, if you have an startup coming to you at a commercially viable product, his needs and expectations from an incubation center are different. That is the reason we say that don't have a ready-made services, have a tailor-made services so that your team, your incubation center can serve the needs and expectations of all the clients at different stages. The third important parameter is you have to have, as I told you in the earlier slide, right? The business support program or the incubation program is very important. Creating an incubation center, I am repeating, it is just creating a physical space. If you want to bring life to that physical space, then you have to have a very effective and efficient incubation program. So the incubation managers or the team should spend most of the time in designing a good, effective, and efficient incubation program. There can be an incubation program for a startup or an individual who come at a pre-incubation stage, right? You can have a program for incubation. You can have a program if you want to support virtual incubation, or if two incubators wants to have wants to have a joint program, and if they want to support any startup, then you can look at co-incubation, right? So based on the needs and expectations of the clients who are coming at ideation, proof of concept, prototype, or commercial stage, right, your incubation program will also get changed. So design an incubation program for all the stages of the product life cycle and based on the needs and expectations of the startups. There are new concepts that are coming up. You are having co-work space. Even the labs now becomes as a co-working lab. You have fab labs, you have maker labs, right? These concepts adds a greater value during the first stage of the PLC, right? A co-work space, a co-work lab, a fab lab, a maker lab, right? It is a greatest value addition initiative that you are going to contribute from the ideation to POC stage or prototype stage, right? In the opening remarks, Mr. Nagarajan mentioned that if you are going to mention that more number of students will be handholded at every institution, right? If you are going to support the student community, most of the student community will come at an ideation stage, right? So as I told you, the more the services that the incubation center should give to them from ideation to proof of concept. Right? If we have the more youngsters, more students coming up, we should have a strong co-work space, co-work labs or fab labs and maker labs to convert our student community ideas into proof of concepts. Then once you have more number of applicants, once you have the applications coming to you, the next challenge that is there in front of an incubation center is whom we are going to select. Right? How are you going to have our selection process? What kind of ideas that we have to choose, right? So a common selection criteria across the state will not be a successful one. You can have a guidelines, but you can't have a common selection criteria. The selection criteria will vary from incubator to incubator based on the trust area that the incubator is working, based on the location at which the incubation center is operating, right? So the major impact or the major factor that influences the selection criteria is your location or the region requirements. So scan your regional requirements, scan your business environment. That's where the business environment factor comes into it. Scan your business environment. What kind of businesses are coming up? What kind of startups are coming up? What kind of Lucknow is there? What kind of challenges that these startups are facing? And based on that, you would have created an infrastructure. Now, your selection criteria should help your regions to get developed. Your selection criteria should be in a position to accommodate the expectations of the startups from your region. The second important parameter which a debate will be going on, are we looking at numbers or are we looking at quality? Right? Quality is a subjective parameter. So being an incubation center, I'm having a different perspective against quantity versus quality, because incubation concept is very new, right? Most of the incubation centers are being recently set up. Most of the incubation centers are established in the academia environment. Most of the incubation centers are run by the academicians who very rarely has the business experience. And most of the business incubation team are new because there is no professional courses or professional training for the business incubator managers. So we have a small team which is being purely with academic background, very limited exposure or experience with the startups or with the business, right? So what will happen is, but we are going to contribute a lot for the development of the business, right? So it is most of the business incubator managers across the country has learned by experience, right? So at the initial stages, you try to serve as many startups as possible. Why? Because it will make you to understand the expectations of the startup. It will make you to understand the problems and challenges that the startups are facing. This will make you to understand or develop, as I told you earlier, efficient and effective business incubation programs at the initial stage, right? More the number of startups you interact and you try to support them, your incubation program will get refined. More the number of startups and incubation centers that you decide to engage with, your team builds its expertise. 3-member or 4-member small and cute team that you are going to have will sharpen their skills, will build their expertise by serving the startups at the initial stages. So, and then slowly you can look at having quality startups, and you can, because it's again a subjective statement, what quality or what is the success parameters, right? That has to be built over a period of years. Low hanging versus deep technologies means there might be startups which are working with deep technologies, which will take years to get matured and come to the market. There will be some startups which is having low hanging fruits, which has with working with innovative ideas, with not with deep technologies, but which is addresses the need immediately, right? So as an incubation center, you should have a balance, right? You should have startups who are working on deep technology. At the same time, you should also have startups which is working on low-hanging fruits, which can convert their idea quickly, take to the solution to the market, address the problem that the community is facing at a shorter period of time, right? So as an incubation center, you should be in a position to support or a balance between both kind of technologies or both kind of startups. Either it can be a low-hanging startup or a deep technology startup. Don't get aligned with one particular category, try to have a balance. The fourth point that I want to touch upon here is the pricing policies. Pricing policy is nothing but have flexibility in pricing, right? Pricing is nothing but at what charges you are going to support or serve your startups, right? So how are you going to charge them, right? So don't fix one particular pricing. You can have flexible pricing based on the services that you are going to provide, and have an empathy towards the startups. And your pricing should be in a position that they should find value for the charges that you're going to charge. So if you look at as I was repeatedly mentioning that a startup comes with various project life cycle, right? Usually it comes from idea stage to the maturity stage. You will have companies at various levels, right? But as an incubation center, where our role starts? Our role starts at the awareness level itself, right? We are initially we have to play a greater role in creating awareness about entrepreneurship, about creating awareness about startups, creating awareness about how business incubators supports startups, and how business incubation center is a tool to promote or to leverage the economic development activities or initiatives of your government or any agency, right? So as an incubation center, our role starts with awareness and then goes to pre-incubation. Pre-incubation, nothing but if somebody comes with an idea, validate that idea, evaluate the business potential, and make the startup or the innovator or the individual to understand that it is a potential idea where there is an opportunity to do business out of this idea. So if the idea validation has been done, pre-incubation period is nothing but converting your idea into a proof of concept or a prototype. And if the prototype comes successful, the next challenge will be taking the product to the market, right? So that itself is a journey. You can't take a product just like to the market. You have to test at the customer place. You have to do the field trials, testing, come out with some deviations, make some changes in the design. A lot of things will happen during this change. And that's where the incubation centers plays a greater role. That's where the real incubation happens. You have to give a lot of support to the individuals or the startups or the innovators. And then during that incubation period, before the completion of the incubation period, you should ensure that the startups had made some profits or in the business have started making some money. And beyond that, the startups can move to their own places or to other centers. So what kind of programs that you can plan? What kind of support services apart from infrastructure that you can provide to a incubation center, right? So for mature startups and scaling up, the incubation centers can run an accelerator program, right? This mentor connect, right? Giving a space or extending the funding alone will not ensure the success of a startup. Money and the space, what you are going to give, is a catalyst. It is going to encourage them or makes them to have a ease of doing business. But most of the startups get stuck even after getting money, with some at one particular stage or with one particular problem, right? So, Mentor Connect is an important initiative that each of the incubation centers should focus on. They should keep on building the mentoring network. Uh, and mentoring, right, it is not like a consulting assignment or a technical advice. It is like picking up one particular problem of a startup and trying to give them a solution. So the problem of the startup will be varying, and accordingly, the mentoring engagement will also be more vibrant and more intensive. Industry Connect, it's one way of creating some initial traction for the products that has been developed by these startups. Access to finance, right? Since I have mentioned that your or the startup journey starts from ideation to commercialization, right? More risk is there at the ideation stage, right? More the risk, right? People will say that more the returns, but at the ideation stage, more the risk means high chances of failure, right? And please ensure that your startup or innovator does not get impacted, should not have a negative impact because of the failure. So one way of handholding them is having access to free capital during the ideation stage, right? So ideation to proof of concept to prototype. If the incubation center has some good network, has some good access with the government agencies, has some access with the programs, try to encourage the innovators and the startups to apply for grants where the risk of failure can be covered if there is really a failure happens, and the innovator does not, or the startup does not have a great impact because of their failure, right? So uh, uh, based on the product life cycle, the kind of funding will also get varied, right? During the ideation stage, proof of concept stage, or the prototype development stage, the incubation center can encourage the innovators and startups to apply for grants and make the product ready at a nominal capital expenses from the innovator side. Then if the product is ready and if they want to scale up to the market, if they want to move to the next level, commercialization and scaling up, right, then the incubation centers can encourage the startups to look for debt funding or for equity funding based on the kind of products that they have and the vision that they have in scaling up or moving to the next stage. The next point is access to market, right? Any product can be developed, but a product without a market is a failure, right? So, and as an incubation center, you should focus on creating access to markets. We can't create markets, but we can make the innovators or the startups to get showcasing their products, taking their products to various exhibitions, expos, connecting to the industries, right? You can have various avenues where individually the startup cannot participate in those avenues, but as a collectively, the incubation center can represent itself for all of its startups. Right? And there are good opportunities today to find international collaborations for uh, uh, the startups to take their products beyond the borders. So, having said that, we have covered a lot. As a business incubation center or as a business incubation manager, keep in mind 4 key principles to make your business incubator a successful one. The first important principle is your incubation center should itself function like an business. Your incubation center itself is like an entrepreneurial venture. The business incubator manager who leads the incubation center should be like an entrepreneur, right? So the center that you are going to establish with the government funding should look at a dynamic model of sustainable and efficient business operation, and it should be managed like a business organization, not like a service organization, or it should be managed like a profit center, not like a cost center. Right? Even I mean, profit center is not to make profit, but at least you should generate revenue to sustain your operations, right? And should be able to continuously provide the services to the startups. See, if you look at any business, if you look at entrepreneurship ecosystem, the change in the ecosystem happens very frequently, right? The way the business has been done about 10 years before and within last 10 years, it's totally different, right? So if an incubation center has to continue in this field to extend support to the startups, whenever there is a change in the entrepreneurship ecosystem, the business incubation center should also be in a position to adapt to the changes and continuously provide the services to the startups, right? So one particular center which has been established, I'm repeating, if you have established an incubation center today with some facilities, it may become obsolete in next 10 years. The same facility or the kind of services that you're looking at will become invalid after 10 years because the entrepreneurship ecosystem is more vibrant and it changes often. So whenever there is a changes are happening in the ecosystem, the incubation center should be proactive in adapting to those changes and come out with new innovative services to be provided to its clients. Right. The second important principle is the entire team, business incubator team, should focus their energy and resources on assisting companies throughout their growth process, right? And it should focus its energy to ensure that the startup is success. Here again I'm repeating that success is a subjective word. Every entrepreneur will have his own definition for success. And if an incubation center is able to achieve the vision or the dreams of an entrepreneur, are able to achieve the goals of an entrepreneur, and the incubation center should feel happy about it. And because of that, please note that you are creating a positive impact on community, right? So please note that you should focus your energy and resources in continuously supporting the startups. The third important principle is, as I told you earlier, create an efficient and effective business incubation program and services, right? And your programs and services that you have designed, developed for the incubators should address the needs and the stages of development at which their companies are. Right. And fourth important point is, if you don't have network, no work for you, right? So continuously, the incubation center should focus on developing a network. Network means it can be an internal network, right? Your incubation center should have a strong network with your academic departments. It should have a strong network with your other research labs, which is there in your institution. It should have a network with the stakeholders of your institution. Apart from that, the incubation center should keep on building the external network too. External network is nothing but creating a relationship or establishing relationship with other incubation centers in your region, establishing relationship with the R&D centers in your region, establishing relationship with industries, similarly with government agencies, with other ecosystem enablers like industry associations, startup associations, startup activities, right? So So stronger that you create a valuable network, right? You will end up in creating that sophisticated range of services. More the network you have, and that too a reliable and credible and dependable network, right? Most of the challenges that are faced by the startups can be addressed easily with the help of your uh, uh, network that you have created. So, with these few points, I stop here and I look for the questions or some interactions from the audience.
Yeah, some people are asking, Mr. Avesh Khan, can you share the list of documents requirement for technical projects in a startup?
See,
Yeah.
documents that you want to collect it from the startups, right? If that is the case, at the beginning, don't look at collecting as many documents as possible, because if a company is approaching you or if an individual is approaching you, the first stage that you have to look at is how to validate your idea. So get limited information, which is make them to feel comfort. So ask about a small presentation, ask them to come out with basic information about what is the problem that they are addressing, what is their solution, in what way their solution is superior with the existing solutions and things like that, and what is that they want to have it. So coming to an incubation center at the first stage is, it should be like a discussion. It should be like a smooth conversation that is happening between the incubation centers and the incubation center team and the client. Then comes, you can ask for the business plan, you can ask them to prepare some of the documents. On the day one, if you ask them to come out with a document, right, there comes the barrier, because most of them will not even know how to prepare or a technical document itself, right? So have your own set of technical documents, you have your own set of processes, and create a comfort zone when they come to your incubation centers. Then you can ask for a business plan. Once they are confident that they can move forward, you can ask the business plan.
Yeah. So another question is, one Mr. Mihir Vasavada is asking, what is the importance of networking during incubation?
See, incubation center, as I told you, is a small team, right? 3 or 4 member team will be running this center. Not the entire team will not be capable of handholding all the requirements of the startups. If somebody has a challenge in financial management, and if our team does not have it, but if you have a good networking with an auditor or with a project or with a financial guy, right? He can pro bono basis, he can come forward and help your incubators, right? So if somebody is doing business and has some challenges in taxation, right? The external team out of your network can come and help you. If somebody wants to want to test or validate their idea in an industry environment, your networking with the industry association will help you in reaching out to the industries which are open for the field test and things like that, right? They may not be your customer, but they may be some of the industry entrepreneurs will be open enough to provide their facilities for testing to the startups, right? So how will you be knowing that which industry is going to support us for the field testing, right? So if you have a good contacts networking with the industry association, we can do it. If you have a good network with angel investor network in your region, if somebody wants funding to scale up, then you can connect them and they can be their mentor and prepare them. If you want to get some angel investment, what kind of readiness level you should be and how you have to prepare yourself. So these kind of inputs can be given by the external network, and that's how the incubation environment needs networking, and networking becomes the greatest part of it.
Yeah. So my next question is from Amita Rathod. What is virtual incubation?
Okay. Virtual incubation is nothing but physically he is not at your place, but he needs your guidance, he needs the validation, right? But physically he is not using your space or your equipments or your facilities, but he relies on the your technical team support, your support in validating his idea, mentoring, funding, what other access services that you are providing. If he is having access, then it's called as a virtual incubation. Basically, it's not present.
Excellent. Yeah, excellent. So next question is from Hiren Mahida. He asked that how to find or decide the incubation center which will provide particular startup for particular support for a particular area of startup.
Yeah. So every incubation center will have its own trust area. Right. When they get the funding itself, while they are submitting the proposal itself, most of the incubation centers will define their trust areas that I am a bio incubator, I was an electronics incubator, IT incubator. So you have to explore online and take a list of the incubators and you have to interact with them. But incubator would have defined in their websites about their trust areas and you can look at it.
Yeah. One Professor Vijay Kumar Parmar has asked how profitability and expansion are related. It's a bit conceptual question related to growth of a startup. So how profitability and expansion are related?
See, before this concept of valuation, angel investments and other things were there, expansion in a brick and mortar case, expansion was based on profitability about 15, 20 years before. Right? If you look at even in Gujarat being an industrial city, if you look at any companies which has been called as a successful company, would have started from scratch, would have generated profit, reinvested their profits, and then would have moved to the next level. And that's how the connections was there earlier between profitability and expansion. But today, because of the newer and innovative financing concepts like valuations, investments based on valuations, right? Expansion happens even without profitability. Expansions happens on valuations, on customer acquisitions, and then end of the day, the startup looks at the option of merging their startup with the existing industry, right? So that's what I told you, right? The entrepreneurial ecosystem will be dynamic, will be changing very often. 20 years before, there is not much of valuation in investment. So expansion was based on profitability. It is based on valuations and investment comes based on valuations. So we should be prepared. Incubation centers should be in a position to understand that and accordingly change their ways of operations in their programs and services that they are extending to the startups.
Wonderful, wonderful. So another question is from Dr. Pradeep Desai. He is asking, how does business incubation centers get funded by government or by contribution from successful business already developed? So it's about the business model of an incubation center.
So usually in India, most of the incubation centers are established with the government support. And the government used to give the support for up to 5 years. Some of the agencies give support up to 3 years. Beyond that, the government expects that the incubation center sustain, but sustainability of the incubation center is challenged. Right? So what happens is some of the incubation centers look at their revenue models on going again back to the government on project funding, not for incubation funding, but project-based funding as an outreach program partners for the schemes and programs that government announces. One. Second thing is they do some programs and workshops and kind of thing that they try to generate revenue too. The third revenue, the first most important revenue is the revenue that comes out of your infrastructure, equipment, the investment that is gone, right? Since that is not sufficient for managing your incubation center, then you go with again to the government with program-based support. The second one, as I told you, with some programs and workshops that you do it. Third thing is today, the incubation centers try to raise funds through the CSR contribution from the industries. And even under CSR Schedule 7, investments are made to the incubation centers are considered as CSR expenditures. So again, contributions made to the incubation centers. So incubation centers approach industry with some their projects and programs that will benefit to the community and try to raise funding through CSR. So that's what I'm repeatedly going back to the first slide. Look at the environment within which your business incubation center is operating and accordingly plan your sustainable strategy.
Yeah, excellent. It is an excellent explanation on the business model of incubation. So from all these things, I get a query. This is from my side that should we treat a business of incubation as a business or a sort of service activity or to the society, or somewhere it is which side of the profitability or a business angle this is falling?
See, it is a not-for-profit organization. I mean, incubation center. You can't make profits out of this. Definitely, it is not possible to make profits out of this activities. Without the government support, it is very difficult to operate the incubation centers. It has to be subsidized. The services has been subsidized by the government schemes. As I told you, the governments can come out with the initial funding support as it does it during the initial days to establish an incubation center. And based on the performance of the incubation center, the governments can continue its support in subsidizing the services that has been extended by the incubators. But at the same time, incubators can also look at the ways in which it can at least meet the 30 to right. If there is a government support, it should be in a position to sustain its operations. So it should be a mix and match of revenue generated by the incubation center and a subsidization given by the government.
Okay.
And if so expecting each incubation center to get the government's funding is not also wise, right? The government can't keep on investing. So that's where we say that the policymakers should look at using the CSR funding through the industries, right? Some benefits, income tax benefits to the incubators, options in coming years.
Okay. So another thing is, I just want to ask about what is the difference between an incubation center and a co-working space? Because, you know, there are a lot of people who are creating an ambient environment for startups, which are in the co-working space. But there should be some fundamental differences, right?
Yeah. So the concepts, people have their own views, and my view of my personal view of co-working space and things like that. Co-working space is nothing but a shared space where your overheads becomes reduced, right? If you have a 2-member team, you can't take a space and you can't work, right? So co-working space can be a concept under the incubation center, right? Where if one person comes to you or 2-person team comes to you, they can't take a space, they can't have their own infrastructure. So you create an infrastructure where a small team can work, and that particular space can be called as a co-working space or a shared space. But that cannot be an incubation center. That is, it's one of the facilities that you have created for your company. Whereas, if you have more IT-based startups there, your co-working space concept will be highly applicable. But if you have an electronics-based thing where you have your own proprietary things, if you have a biotech-based companies, right, then slowly you have to have your own cubicles created, infrastructure that has been created, and common labs that has been created, and exclusive equipments that has to be given. Then comes the incubation, actual incubation. So if you ask me to put it blunt, right, co-working space is nothing but a place to sit and work, right? But what is they're working, what kind of infrastructure that you give, apart from the place to sit, is what incubation is all about. Sitting and giving space to sit and work is not an incubation. That is, you are seat somebody to be under a shelter. You are giving a shelter. But what you add to the shelter, that matters, and that is called as an incubation center. It is according to me.
Yeah. So this leads me to the next question of about ecosystem. Have you seen any examples of incubators? Many times, what happens is too many incubators in a place sometimes creates a sort of competition. So, are there any good examples of collaboration in the ecosystem? Because especially in incubators, because in the ecosystem, if we don't collaborate, the ecosystem doesn't grow. If you don't make the pie bigger, everyone is going to lose. So ultimately, the solution lies in collaboration and making the pie bigger. So, any good best practice or examples that you have seen?
See, what happened is, even in my presentation, I would have mentioned the word co-incubation. And even in the last slide, when I talked about networking, the first point what I told them is network outside your incubation center, right? And that too with other incubation center, right? Creating an infrastructure with 10 crores of investment will not address the entire requirement of a startup, right? Even if you get 10 crores of investment for your incubation center, you would have spent about 5 to 6 crores of what equipments, right? So networking with other incubation centers is need of the hour. Today, if you look at many incubation centers, even I have seen even PSG has been closely working with my nearby incubation centers, with Agriculture University Incubation Center, where we are not an agri-based startup. If an agri-based startup comes to us, we are referring to them. And they don't have the funding support. If they need the funding support, we'll say that we'll give you the funding. So it has been incubated and another incubator funding comes to us. So similarly, we have a lot of examples from our community, right? I have one of the incubation center, which has been, one of the startup has been supported by Venture Center, by C-Camp and IIT Bombay, right? At different stages of the cycle. So across the country, you have a lot of examples. Now it's slowly picking up, but challenges are also picking up. Where the challenges comes is, if an incubatee becomes so successful, then somebody wants to take credit, right? Who wants to take credit is the only thing where the challenge is all about. Working together is not a problem, right? And a lot of co-incubation policies are also being discussed as an association, right? And giving another angle, we realized this when we are about 25 in numbers. We means all the incubation centers across this country. There are only 25 at that point of time, right? In 2004. These 25 incubation centers have been across country with various states and things like that, understood the importance of collaboration. And this association called Indian Steps and Business Incubator Association has been started in 2004, right? Even when incubation concept is not at all there, we started this association because we felt that we means at that point of time, whomsoever is the seniors, and I was also part of that particular team working for PhD STEP, right? Realized that an association is important, and 7 members came together and started this association, and 16 years this association is live. That shows that initially, once you get the sanction, there might be some competitions within your institute in the regions, but when they start working towards supporting startups over a period of time, collaboration will automatically start.